All right, welcome to Management 2064, Foundations of Entrepreneurship. I'm glad you're joining in today. This is Chapter 8, and we're going to be talking about building business models. And before we get too far in, I just wanted to say thanks for being here. I know there's been this semester reset. So again, please double check Canvas. There's been some, obviously some changes, some modifications done there. A couple of announcements that were sent out. Definitely use that for reference moving forward. The goal will be, I will be recording the lectures and sharing those with you on YouTube because we have people all over the world now as some folks return back home. And so with 135 of us, I think the best way to able to deliver our content is through an asynchronous mode, i.e. recording and YouTube. So that's what will happen. This is scheduled to play on Wednesday, March 25th. And kind of wanted to look at what the agenda looks like for the next 3 weeks. So obviously this past Monday, you were to work on your LinkedIn learning. Jeff Dwyer on innovation. Hopefully you've had the time to work on that and get that done. Speaking of fostering innovation, so Jeff Dwyer's part was like 1/6, if you will, of the entire program. I think there's been about 7 or 8 of you that have already finished your LinkedIn learning, so phenomenal. Congratulations, great work. I share that with you for those that are just now starting, that once you can get into a rhythm and cadence, I've taken, like I said, I've taken several of those LinkedIn courses, including Fostering Innovation. And once you get into it, you do sort of get into the rhythm and you can knock it out fairly quickly. But again, this past Monday was kicking off your LinkedIn learning and getting into that for yourself. Today, Chapter 8, Building Business Models. Don't forget your quizzes. That will be open all day on Wednesday, March 25th. So you'll have all day to complete that. It is timed. It will be much shorter than previous. There is no lockdown browser. Sort of remove that now that we're on the online environment. But certainly appreciate you getting that done. Next week, the week of March 30th, we're going to tackle chapters 9 and 10, and they are really kind of on business plans and business models. I kind of combine them because I think there's some redundancies in the 2 chapters, so I'll be pulling out what I think is the important parts of those chapters, and we'll do that on Wednesday, April 1st, okay? That will be, again, a recorded chapters 9 and 10 will be on Wednesday, April 1st. You'll have a quiz that day as well to go through. With that being said, you'll actually, on Monday, March the 30th, you'll have a class participation exercise to do, and it'll be basically on the business model canvas that we're going to learn about today. Then kind of looking out 2 weeks from now, we'll be on Chapter 11, which is learning from failure. Okay, so let's jump into building business models. I want to talk a little bit about our journey so far. So, if you look at our first 4 chapters, that was sort of what is entrepreneurship? What's this lifestyle? We took a look at social entrepreneurship. We talked a little bit about what's it like to be an entrepreneur, some of the challenges, obviously the positive pieces of that. That was kind of the first 4 weeks or so. Then we spent some time, in design thinking and looking at opportunities and how to create and find those opportunities through ideation and brainstorming and working together, understanding the customer, having some empathy, getting out and knowing people, right? Loving the problem, addressing gaps and trends and problems. So we spent some time there. And then now what we're going to do is sort of move into the business side, get into some discipline perhaps, and look at some tools and resources that really kind of take these ideas and now kind of bring us into a more methodical, thought-provoking, disciplined cadence activity. And we're going to talk about sort of the traditional ways of looking at that. So students that took Management 1104, for example, I would say more of a traditional business plan, into this new idea of more agile, quicker, more of a matrix style way of managing new ventures. And so it's kind of exciting. I would say, and we talk more about this when you get into Management 3064, the pendulum always swings, right, in business. So, if you go back, 50, 60 years, it was all about business plans, and you had to have a document you're going to take into the bank, and there were many revisions, and, a board would look at it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to where we obviously then had sort of this new way of looking at things, right? We're always looking at innovation through processes, right? And so we had these new companies come on board and said, don't need business plans, right? You got these venture capitalists and these angel investors says, just tell me your story. Just tell me your story and let me sign up. And so the pendulum swung way over here to where, quite frankly, there was some lack of discipline within our thoughts and our plans and where do we want to go, kind of thing. And so, quite frankly, there is a nice happy medium somewhere in the middle, right? Where we don't necessarily have to be the 40 pages, 100 pages to get a loan, if you will. But at the same time, we don't need this maverick approach to entrepreneurship where people then start to lose money. Quite frankly, then entrepreneurs lose credibility and trust, right? If we're way over here on the pendulum. So that brings us up to a great quote, right? And, again, as we've talked about innovation, and again, innovation meaning sometimes, many times, is business processes, right? So it's not always about products and services. It can be about processes. And so we obviously also have a new generation of entrepreneurs. And that doesn't necessarily have to be by age. It's a new generation of startups, whether you're 20, 40, 60 years old. People now want to challenge the status quo, as they should, right? Continuous improvement, make things more efficient, let's be innovative. And so that's where we kind of are, is looking at reinventing ourselves from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So what is a business model, right? And hopefully you're staying on top of your reading and you're understanding what a business model is. But, one of the things that we always have to remember, and obviously we talked about this, and when I shared the journey and our path so far, it's really understanding what the unmet needs are in the marketplace, right? What is the market telling us? What are customers telling us of what they need, right? Whether that's a current gap in the market, or whether that is something that has come about from a challenge or issue in the market. So a business model helps to develop and understand what the company is about, right? What value can the venture bring to the marketplace, right? So we want to be able to look at the existing market, the current state, right? We have these inputs, these insights from the market and from customers, from competition, right? Maybe from regulatory. So kind of go back to chapters 6 and 7 and remember the chart there that I shared with you that we use at Marball, right? So we have all these inputs. How can we provide a differentiation strategy moving forward that creates, delivers, and brings value to the customer? What can we do to create, deliver, and extract value in the marketplace, right? So from a current event standpoint, I'm very, very impressed and very, very intrigued at the flexibility in the market right now. An unmet need. Think about it. From what we're going through right now with this pandemic here in the March of 2020, who would have thought right? That our medical, our first line staff doesn't have masks, doesn't have a face shield. And what I'm excited to see just today, so I'm recording this on Tuesday, March 24th. What I'm encouraged to see is, for example, students at Georgia Tech taking the 3D printer, right? And what are they doing? They're creating face shields, okay? And I think they've created something like 500 pieces or so. And you say, well, so what? Who cares? Well, they're actually delivering them to the Atlanta hospital, right? Why? There's an unmet need. Our healthcare workers don't have what they need in order to do their job, right? Masks. And there's plenty of stories out there, many, many stories of people, companies, 3M, for example, and others that are ramping up production, or they're converting their production lines to do things, right? So they're basically creating and delivering value to meet an unmet need in the market. We'll talk some more about some current events here shortly. So again, Management 1104 students, this is what we learn, right, when it comes to building a business plan. Many of you in your interviews, and great job on your interviewing of your entrepreneurs. I always enjoy reading those. I know it takes me a while to grade them, but when I'm reading carefully what you wrote and the insights that you gained from that, really inspires me. Number one, that you pay attention. Number two, the knowledge that you gain from that. And the insights and the experience by just having that interview. The other part I think that's awesome is to see all the different entrepreneurial ventures that people have. I mean, when you read 140 of these,